Olam chimbong abjada bagar tangan sandu medo tumba tukji janla ke ansara. Ayondan sanji kanda nyamna yang kwadan sanji li janla bangon zavala manam la surwande daksong ruvi lor na chula jir dakshak tongdar xewa zumba la gaba nyurin sewa. Doden Hornber, sometime you gender, Dashi Delo Pensum Sober Show, Dojo Donder Show, Zumbala, Godon, Yuran Seva, Doden Hornber, sometime you gender, Dashi Delo Pensum Sober Show, Dojo Donder Show, Zumbala, Godon, Yuran Seva. Doden Hornber, sometime you gender, Dashi Delo Pensum Sober Show. Good evening. First of all, I'm very happy to be able to spend these few days here with all of you, and especially speak about Dharma, about the 7-point mind training. So I would like to welcome all of you and thank you all very much. And I also would like to say thank you to Bodhicitta Sangha, especially thank you to Kate and Kelly for finding this place for the retreat. This is beautiful. We have lots of meditation, teachings. Otherwise, this is just a very nice like vacation, you know. It's beautiful. It's very nice. Thank you very much, and thank you. Also, I'd like to thank you to our board members and volunteers. Thank you very much for all the help that you have provided to get everything ready for this residential retreat on the 7-point mind training. This is wonderful, and I'm very happy. And you have all come here for the retreat and to meet each other, meet me. And if your purpose in doing so was because you expected to receive some kind of amazing sort of blessing from me so that you would instantly remove all your negative emotions and suffering right away, I'm afraid you were mistaken. And that is a kind of wrong view and motivation. I'm sure that's not your purpose to come here. So it would be very good if you investigate for yourself what is the reason and your motivation for coming here. I'm sure each of you had different reasons that you wanted to come here. And just if you are not satisfied what you receive during this retreat, let me know. Maybe I can help you kind of individually. I'm not so sure exactly what the reason what is your motivation for coming here? But I think just receive teachings and chance to, group meditation. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe, So, I am just a Buddhist practitioner. Maybe I have little more experience with Buddhist teachings and knowledge. That's probably true. But there is not much different between you and me. So I am in samsara just like you, which means everyone wishes and wants to achieve happiness. We are all same. Our minds work in the same way, and we experience the same kind of emotions and feelings. So we all same. We all possess the capacity to become a very good human being and to make our lives happy. And in order to do that, we need teachings, and we need not only receive the teachings, but we need realization. So teachings means, being shown the path and being given the transmission. And then you apply that, and you follow that path, and you try to have realization. And to have realization, we need a good path and good instructions. And then we need to follow that path and instruction in the correct way. Otherwise, we could not have realization. So maybe, that's why you are here. Maybe you are looking for this sort of transmission and the correct path and good instructions so that you can meditate. So I can share this transmission with all of you. I'm very happy, and that's my responsibility. But if you don't practice, then it would be very difficult to achieve anything. Without practice, you will be separate from this path, and you will take the ordinary path, which is really far away from liberation or enlightenment and realization. So to practice, is very important. If you don't sort of, for example, if you don't eat when you need food, then you're always hungry. Doesn't matter you have food, but you have to eat. Doesn't matter you receive the teachings that not really, you have to meditate. So what I will say tonight is not going to be part of our main teachings, but instead it is just a welcoming speech. So it is just a sort of preparation for the retreat. So we are ready for the main teaching, which will come tomorrow. So I just again want to welcome you all, and I really appreciate, you participate this, and especially those who really work very hard and for this residential retreat. So it's really wonderful to have this opportunity, and we practice together, and I give you, the instructions on the 7-point mind training. It's very important teaching. So thank you very much. And I want to explain what will happen during the retreat, and also tonight set our sort of motivation together, That's the first thing. So first, let's go over the schedule. If you want to know the specific times, you can look at the schedule sheet that you all have, I think. But I would just like to explain a little bit about the schedule. So this retreat will be held for 5 days, beginning tonight and ending on Monday morning after breakfast. And every morning there will be time for an optional meditation or presentation session. If you wanted to, this is morning, every morning. If you want to, you can join, or you can practice individually in your home, or if you want, you can sleep, or that's fine. If you do want to practice together, then you can come and do your own practice as a group, either presentations or another meditation, your individually, individual meditation. Morning, the presentation is really good, very, very good. If you want, just do presentations or other meditation, whatever you want. But I will not lead this, but instead I want you to have time to do your own practice. And if you would like to do this with other people, you can join this morning session. And then after breakfast, we will have 2 sections of teachings and meditation, just like for our day-long retreat. And then we will have lunch and a 3rd teaching and meditation. After that, we will have an optional yoga class. Pam and Kelly will teach you. Thank you very much. Wonderful yoga teachers. We have very, very lucky to have them. So we have, so if you want, you can, after that, the yoga class, I don't know how long, but, and then, however, this is only on Friday and Saturday evening. 2 evenings we have yoga. On Sunday evening, we will not have yoga, but instead I will have an extra teaching session because I want to finish the 7-point mind training. Otherwise, I will not be, if we have yoga 3 nights, then it will be difficult to finish all the teaching. So therefore, Sunday evening, we will not have yoga. And during the yoga section, I will also have practice interviews and refuge vows for those who want it. After that, we will have dinner. And last, I will lead both Vajrasattva and the prayer of Samandabhadra, this meditation for world peace prayer, So this is going to be very short section, actually. And on Sunday, this will be blessing and dedication of marriage ceremony instead. And on Monday morning, we will have our optional morning meditation again, if you want, and then breakfast, and then our retreat will finish. Um, so that's kind of, about the schedule. Another thing we need to talk about is silence, some students have requested that this retreat be silent for part of the day. Because of that, we are going to have silence every day until the yoga section. You should be silent as best as you can, but if you need help and you want to talk, I mean, especially your room, no problem, right? Then of course, especially if you need help, then of course you can ask and get help. What is most important is not to gossip or talk negatively, right? During the teachings and meditation also, we will not have questions and answers. If something is unclear, the teaching, then we should have an interview and I can help you. So we can discuss it then. But during the teaching and meditation, we don't have these things, question and answer. So that's about the schedule during the retreat. And now let's talk about motivation. As you know, it is important to make sure that our motivation is correct. That is the first thing we have to correct. We should really understand that we are the first thing. We are so fortunate to have this precious human life in which we have the opportunity to practice, to have realization. So we need to really make sure that these teachings and meditation are beneficial for everybody, ourselves and also for others who are not here with us during this retreat. With this kind of motivation, one day definitely we will be able to successfully help others. So motivation is very important. The teachings of Buddha always say that we possess an enlightened essence. We call the Buddha nature, a Buddha nature. For that reason, the realization, the practice, and to have a pure motivation, all of that is very important when we study, when we meditate, whatever, spiritual, activities, so these teachings and everything like this, we have to correct our motivation like that and make sure that also you remember the what do you call it, the 3 sprint methods, right? I always teach these things, right? The first, they are setting your motivation, maintaining concentration, and dedicating when you are finished. So this is what we call 3 sprint method. Motivation is connected with our minds, our intention, our thoughts, and our energies. So it's important to have a pure motivation. This is the 1 sprint method. And then second of all, it is very important to have a mind free from misconception, which means to practice without distraction and practice without losing focus. If we let thoughts come and follow them, then they destroy our inner peace, and then we will lose our practice. So really we should try to, I say try, we should try to practice with a concentrated mind, uh, uh, but not too tight, be gentle and peaceful. The thing is, you just recognize when you meditate, you have to recognize when your thoughts arise. Just don't follow, and then your concentration, your mindfulness is there. So that's the main thing, right? That's the main thing. And then finally, when we have done anything that is positive and pleasant, we should dedicate for the sake of all beings. For example, when you are very happy, you should recognize it, and then dedicate it for others. Then you see your happiness will not be wasted, will not be wasted. So these three things very important. These three we call excellent methods, or three spring methods, are important to remember when we practice. Not only during this sort of retreat, but whenever you meditate, whenever you practice, these three, your motivation, your concentration, and your dedication. These three excellent method. It's very important. Without these three things, there's no liberation. So it's very important. And another important thing to understand is, in order to practice Dharma, you have to know the value and the benefit of practicing the Dharma. It's very important. And your precious human life, you are so fortunate you have these opportunities, and to have this, what do you call it, precious human life. This is not easy. So we're very fortunate to have this great path, great life. Without this life, without this path, really, our life is kind of, I would say, like empty. Means like no meaningful. So therefore, we have right now we have on this great opportunity, and we're very lucky, we are very fortunate, we have to recognize that, right? So very, very important. And in general, the Buddhist teachings are very profound, really, really profound, especially like Buddhist philosophies. We cannot learn in all of them. It's just very profound. But we have to find something in Dharma that is necessary for life. That's why I think the 7-point mind training teaching is very important. It's actually about this teaching, the mind training, the 7-point mind training. It's about our life, nothing other than that. That's why I think this teaching, very important. And we have to recognize that we're very fortunate. We have this opportunity. So we should be happy. There is a reason. There is a reason to be happy. At least during these 5 days, whatever, you should try to let go your business, your work, and everything like worldly activity. Just try to let go. Be here, be happy, and just to focus on your meditation. If you can, don't worry. Just be happy here and do something meaningful. So I think then after 5 days you'll be very busy again. Very busy. So, but this, just to try to let go everything. Just make sure that your body here, make sure that your mind here, make sure that you have not negative emotions, like all these things. Just, I mean, it's sometimes it's hard, but try to, just to be pleasant and focus on this precious, time and these opportunities. So, and there are also a few things we must pay attention to if we want to do a good practice. So I will teach you this. I will tell you tonight that, so there are four, we call it four powers that are important to have during the retreat or when you meditate, So the first is the power of body. This means if your body is not comfortable and powerless or unhealthy, when you meditate, then you have lost the power of body, and then it will be very difficult to meditate, Therefore, make sure that your body is comfortable, okay? When you meditate, whatever you can meditate, sit down or sit on chair or stand up or whatever. It's comfortable. I don't care, So make sure that your body is comfortable when you meditate, Sometimes too much sitting, meditation hurts your body. So I thought if we do some yoga, that would be nice, Sometimes just too much sitting is really not so good, right? So when we meditate in Tibet, we did Tibetan yoga, and also most people, like very commonly, like they do prestations. Prestations really help, and otherwise, these monks and the great meditator, they're always sitting, meditate and doing nothing but just sitting like this. So it's sometimes you need move, your body. So therefore, I think prestation is really good. So you have two choices, right? Morning prestation, and then the evening you have a yoga class. So this will help you, not to lose your power of body. So power of body. You need power of body when when you meditate. And the second is we call power of speech. Power of speech. We need to make sure that when we have a guru practice like this and retreat, we are harmonious. Very important. When we talk to each other, make sure that the conversation is very pleasant and be mindful, okay? Be mindful. Don't directly or indirectly interrupt each other, and don't say things without respecting each other. So, because we are Dharma brothers and sisters, we call it, so because we're making a very strong spiritual karmic connection together here. So therefore, it is very important to keep our relationship with each other harmonious, So the best way to do the retreat is to stay without speaking, So therefore we should try to like keep silent. And some people really like to talk, right? Talk, talk, then keep silent. It's kind of difficult, but we should try. There is no, rules. If you don't keep silent, then you can't come. Not like that, but but you should try. And so therefore, then if you, this is the power of speech. So whatever, when you talk, make sure that you don't hurt other people, and make sure that you are very mindfully talk if you want to talk. And that's very important during the retreat. And then third is power of mind, of course, right? Mind, power of mind. If we lost our mind, which means there are negative thoughts or emotions, then, we cannot concentrate, right? We cannot concentrate. We are just thinking, we're thinking whatever, so then there's lots of negative, thoughts, especially this time and this year, lots of people are angry, so, then we have, we cannot concentrate, do you remember Baptism, we said that if you want to attain quietness of mind, then you need to focus on your concentration. Means this is about mindfulness. Mindfulness is so important, so no matter how long you meditate, try to meditate with mindfulness, that is we have three spirit methods. This is the kind of like the second one, right? Concentrate means like, you meditate with your mindfulness. Whatever you do, your actions, like you speak, whatever you do with mindfulness. Of course, it's actually, naturally happens when you meditate. There are lots of thoughts, right? Lots of thoughts. But when you see that happening, rather than following the thoughts, immediately bring the mind back through mindfulness. Make sure that you do that. Okay, so that's power of mind. This is the most important. If you lost your mind, then you cannot meditate. Your body is here, wonderful, here, very nice, but your mind is not here, somewhere else. I don't know. It's amazing. Our mind is amazing. I don't know. You're here, but that doesn't mean you're really completely here. So your mind is somewhere else. I can't see there. So so therefore make sure that don't lose your mind, power of mind. And then the fourth is the power of energy. This means if there is a negative energy during your meditation, then also it would be very difficult to meditate, right? Negative energy. So the negative energy could be yours or could be others, So when you are experiencing sort of a negative energy, then it is very important to accept it, and carry it into your path. This will teach you in the 7-point mind training how to carry your negative energy into your path, transform into positive, like that. So you should work with it. Don't be so irritated. So sometimes people really can take others, like negative energies, but just don't try to separate yourself from your negative energy, whether it is yours or others. You should bring it onto the path and transform it into positive energy. So I think usually a spiritual, like this kind of group practice, is very beneficial because it gives you good energy, especially you practice mind training, you practice bodhicitta, compassion, all of that, because this is really, really good energy. So therefore, I think usually they say, teachers suggest that, you should practice with a group, like good people, with good people. Good friend is very important. Bad friend is very bad. Bad friend is change everything. If you have a bad friend, and then you will change slowly. Your change. So this, group people, like this means like very good people. People who are practice, people are very good practitioners, these people. So you should practice with the group and like this people. So it's very important. So then you have lots of positive energy, and there are lots of beneficial, so this is very important. So this we call four powers. These are the inner conditions of body and mind when you are practicing. Very necessary. This is very important. Don't lose power of your body. Don't lose power of speech. Don't lose power of mind. Don't lose, the power of energy. So then this is if you have those, then you have inner condition. Then it's very easy to practice, meditation. So very easy. So it doesn't matter whether or not you receive all the realizations of enlightenment. It's really just enough that you are trying to sort of control your mind and trying to purify your negative thoughts. Negative thoughts makes you really unhappy, right? So try to sort of control your mind and using these kind of amazing instructions, so you can change. You can change very. It's not that hard, So you are actually Dharma practitioners, right? Dharma practitioners. Some of you have practiced Dharma for a long time, and some of you are maybe just beginners. So, I think sometimes it's very helpful to investigate yourself and how you are doing with your practice, you should, what kind of teaching, what kind of instructions that you need, very important, investigate yourself, not others, right? Not don't investigate others, but investigate yourself. So, then you will know, what kind of practice, what kind of, generally, getting the enlightenment is not that easy, because the Buddha recognized that it was difficult for most people to understand without a good foundation, without a good foundation. For a good foundation, the Buddha suggested that everybody should practice this kind of mind training teaching first. As he said, first you need a good foundation in order to get in the enlightenment. You need a good foundation. Good foundation. What is good foundation? Good foundation, mind training. Mind training, the 7-point mind training. This teaching, first mind training teaching, so that these teachings, make your mind really open, that's what I said, like, negative energy, negative thoughts, you can transform into positive through this kind of mind training meditation, through this kind of instructions, and then you will understand the purpose of your life, what is for this life. This is a very short life. I mean, like, so what is for this? So if you practice this mind training, you will understand the value of teachings and the value of your meditation, your life, your precious human life. You will understand this. That's why I think, this teaching very important, and Buddha, discovered a very profound meditation and realization through, mind training practice. Why we can't? We can, of course we can. What is different? We all human beings. So we all have this Buddha nature. We possess this Buddha nature, the essence of life. We have this. So we can also, have, very profound meditation and realization through the mind training practice, and this realization of truth causes all the different types of negative emotions and negative thoughts to diminish. That's the point. Okay? Do you understand? So tonight, I really appreciated that all you are here and you are very happy. I'm very, very happy. And we all here together, and I just welcome all of you, and very much, very, very good. And then also just give you a little bit about the schedule, and then the motivation. You should check your motivation and why you're here. What is the reason? What are you looking for? What are you looking for? Maybe I have, maybe I don't have. We'll see. So that's the thing. And then this 4 powers, very important. Okay, so I think that's all for tonight. We don't have tonight meditation, so I have given you some this kind of general open comments about Buddhism and how to set up your motivation. So this will help your practice, and this is kind of the preparation, right? Preparation for tomorrow. So the retreat meditation, So if you have any question, and let me know, and I will help you. Now, maybe other people have some announcement to share. I will let you talk. So this.